You are following financial advice that was never actually designed for your real-life situation, your income level, your responsibilities, and your everyday financial reality, and this is something that most people do without even realizing it. You see popular advice everywhere. On social media, in short videos, in long podcasts, in blogs, in books, and from influencers who speak very confidently about money. They explain what you should do, how you should save, how you should invest, and how you should think about your financial future. At first, everything sounds simple and logical. They say things like, save a fixed percentage of your income, invest consistently every month, avoid unnecessary expenses, build multiple income streams, and think long-term. And none of these ideas are wrong by themselves. The real problem is that these ideas are usually created from a completely different financial perspective than yours. Very often, the person giving this advice is earning significantly more money, has already passed the difficult early stages, has stable cash flow, and has enough extra money left every month to actually apply these strategies comfortably. But when you try to follow the same advice while earning much less, or while dealing with tight budgets, or while living paycheck to paycheck, everything feels very different. Instead of feeling simple, it feels stressful. Instead of feeling motivating, it feels frustrating. Instead of feeling possible, it feels unrealistic. And this is the moment where many people start blaming themselves. They think they lack discipline. They think they are bad with money. They think they're doing something wrong. But in reality, the main issue is not your behavior. The main issue is that the strategy you are trying to use does not match your current situation. Personal finance is not a universal system where one set of rules works for everyone at all times. It is a dynamic system that changes depending on how much money you make, what your expenses look like, what responsibilities you have, and what stage of life you are currently in. As your income changes, your priorities must change. As your situation changes, your strategy must change. And if you keep using the same financial habits at every stage of your life, you will eventually feel stuck, confused, or even overwhelmed, even if your income increases over time. To understand this better, imagine three different people with three very different income levels. The first person earns around $35,000 per year. The second person earns around $75,000 per year. The third person earns $100,000 per year or more. Now imagine that all three people are told to follow the exact same rule, save 20% of your income. At first glance, this sounds fair and simple. But when you actually break it down, the reality is very different. The person earning $35,000 might need to save around $500 every month. The person earning $75,000 might need to save around $1,200 every month. The person earning $100,000 might need to save around $2,000 every month. For the highest earner, this might feel completely manageable. For the middle earner, it might require planning, but it is still realistic. For the lowest earner, this might feel almost impossible, not because they are irresponsible or lazy, but because most of their income is already used for essential living costs like rent, food, transportation, and bills. This example clearly shows why financial advice cannot be applied equally to everyone. The same rule can create completely different levels of difficulty depending on your income. And if you try to follow advice that does not fit your reality, you will feel like you are constantly failing, even when you are trying your best. Now let's focus on the first stage, which is one of the most difficult and misunderstood stages, earning around $35,000 per year. At this level, financial life is not about optimization, efficiency, or maximizing returns. It is about survival, stability, and building a basic foundation. After taxes, you might have somewhere between $2,300 and $2,600 per month. This is not a lot of money when you consider everything you need to pay for. You need to cover rent, which is often the largest expense. You need to pay for food, which is unavoidable. You need transportation to get to work or move around. You need to pay for utilities like electricity, water, and internet. And you also need to handle small daily expenses that are part of normal life. When you add all of this together, you often end up with very little money left at the end of the month. Let's look at a simple realistic example. Your monthly income is $2,500. Your rent is $1,200. Your food costs around $400. Your transportation costs $200. Your bills and utilities cost around $300. Now your total expenses are already $2,100. This leaves you with only $400. That $400 is supposed to cover everything else, including unexpected problems. Now imagine something goes wrong. Your phone stops working and needs to be replaced. The cost is $600. You do not have enough money saved. So you use a credit card. Now you are in debt. Next month, you still have the same income, but now you also have to deal with repayments and interest. This is how financial stress starts to build over time. Not because of bad decisions, but because there is no margin for error. At this level, even small problems can create long-term consequences. That is why the most important priority at this stage is not investing, not building passive income, and not chasing complex financial strategies. The most important priority is creating stability, and the first step towards stability is building a basic emergency fund. This does not need to be perfect. It does not need to be large. It just needs to exist. A realistic goal is to save 1 to 2 months of essential expenses. If your basic monthly needs are $2,000, your target should be between $2,000 and $4,000. This money acts as protection. It creates a buffer between you and financial problems. Without it, every unexpected expense becomes a crisis. With it, problems become manageable situations. For example, if your car breaks down and you need to pay $500, you can handle it without going into debt. If you lose your job temporarily, you have some time to recover. This is why an emergency fund is so powerful. It does not make you rich, but it protects you from becoming poorer.